Welcome to The Explainer, where we distill powerful ideas from classic sources. Today, we're going to crack open a 1960 masterpiece that really changed the game for investors, Philip Fisher's Paths to Wealth Through Common Stocks. Okay, let's just dive right in, and the best place to start is with the book's dedication. I mean, this isn't just some stuffy intro, it's a total declaration of independence. You can feel it, right? Fisher is talking directly to the rebels, to the independent thinkers who just refuse to follow the herd. And that rebellious spirit, well, that pretty much defines his entire philosophy. At its core, Fisher's whole work was this powerful challenge to the financial groupthink of his day. He was basically saying, hey, the path to real wealth, it's not found in popular opinion. It's found in doing your own rigorous, independent homework. You know, his son, the super famous investor Ken Fisher, he put it perfectly in the foreword of the new edition. He said his dad's entire approach was built on this one simple but totally brilliant idea. Learn how to spot the myths that everyone else believes, and then have the guts to bet against them.
All right, so to really get Fisher's genius, we need to kind of step back in time, back to the world of 1960. And what's wild is that you'll see the big worries investors had back then, inflation, competition, how to find real growth. They're going to sound strikingly familiar.
So let's just take inflation, for example. Back in the 1960s, most investors were terrified of it. They saw it as this, uncontrollable runaway horse. You either had to time the market perfectly to get out of its way, or it was just going to trample your savings. But Fisher, he saw it completely differently. For him, inflation wasn't a crisis. It was just a permanent part of the landscape, a constant headwind you just had to learn to outrun. So the big question is, how did he think you could beat it? Well, Fisher wasn't naive. He saw the inflationary pressures, things like rising union wages, but he also saw this much more powerful force working in the other direction. He called it the industry of discovery. Think of it as the engine of science, research, and engineering that is always pushing efficiency up and driving costs down. For Fisher, innovation wasn't just some fluffy buzzword. It was the ultimate weapon against inflation and, honestly, the investor's best friend.
Okay, so here's the crucial point. If innovation is the engine, then visionary management has to be the driver. See, Fisher thought that trying to guess where the economy or inflation was headed was a complete waste of time, a fool's errand. The one thing you could actually analyze, the single thing that really mattered for long-term success, was the quality of the people behind the wheel.
And this wasn't just some abstract theory for him. Fisher illustrated this point brilliantly. He actually created a fictional case study just to show what this kind of management looks like in the real world. He called it the story of Pioneer Metals Corporation. So Pioneer Metals starts out as this struggling, barely surviving sheet metal plant. But then a new leader named Robinson takes over. And this guy, he's not focused on the next quarter's profits. No, he is obsessed with building a reputation for excellence. So when a massive production mistake happens that could lose a key customer, he doesn't point fingers. He eats the cost, a huge cost, works his team overtime, and delivers on his promise. Bam, trust built. Then later, something tragic happens. An employee is killed in an accident. Robinson personally sets up trust funds to pay for all 3 of his kids' college educations. I mean, can you imagine? That act of genuine decency creates this incredible, unbreakable loyalty. And that team, this trusted, loyal, motivated team, they're the ones who go on to invent a breakthrough product that turns the company into a national leader. It's just such a powerful story showing that greatness really comes from management that puts people and principles first. So years later, after thinking about this and refining his whole philosophy, Fisher managed to boil down his entire complex way of looking at a company's management into just one single, devastatingly simple question. And that question was this: what are you doing that your competitors aren't doing yet? See that last word? Yet? His son Ken always said that was the most important word in the whole sentence. It implies this relentless, forward-looking process. It's not about having one great idea. It's about building a culture that is always pushing forward, always keeping the competition playing catch-up. So you might be thinking, okay, that's great for 1960, but how does this wisdom hold up today? Well, it's pretty incredible. If you just swap out the industries Fisher was looking at back then for the big industries we're looking at now, you'll find his principles are, maybe more relevant than ever. Like his son Ken points out, you can draw a direct line. The big, established chemical companies of the 60s, the Dows and DuPonts of the world, they're kind of like today's mature tech giants. Think slower but safer growth. And that explosive, high-risk electronics industry that Fisher was so pumped about, with pioneers like Texas Instruments, well, that's a perfect parallel for today's emerging fields like biotech or AI. These are the industries that are creating whole new markets out of thin air.
And that right there just shows you how timeless his thinking really is. The names on the buildings change, the technologies change for sure, but the core job of an investor, it's exactly the same. It's to find that small handful of companies with management teams who aren't just dealing with today, they are actively out there building tomorrow. Which, of course, brings us to one final powerful question for you. If you put on your Philip Fisher glasses and look at the world today, who is really answering that yet question? Which companies are doing the things their competitors haven't even woken up to yet? Because that kind of thinking, according to Fisher, is where you find real, lasting wealth.